It is 8 minutes past 9 o'clock. A very good morning to you all and welcome to Views, People and News this bright sunny Saturday, the 28th of September 2024. My name is Judith Atim. I'm your host. And today we're talking about personalities, services and management in urban authorities. And we're asking, why do challenges persist? Well, joining me right now, I have a number of guests lined up, but so far I have with me Dr. Ronette Atukunda, who is the Dean of the Faculty of Economics, Energy and Management Science at Makerere University Business School. My other guests will be making it shortly, although one has sent his apologies. I'll be telling you who it is in the course of the show. Good morning, Dr. Ronette.
Good morning, listeners.
How are you doing?
Great, thank you.
How was your week so far?
It was a busy one, but a very fruitful one.
Mm-hmm.
I am glad to get to the weekend.
Yeah. But also for us here at KFM and the Nation Media Group family, we are saddened, of course, by the death of the late Honorable and media veteran Francis Onapito Ekomoloit. Onapito, or as he was known by his close associates, was a regular guest panelist here on the KFM Hot Seat. So it's a very difficult, sad moment for us, and we deeply commiserate with his family and all his loved ones and all his associates in the different places where he was. So we just pray that the Almighty God grants his soul eternal rest, and may he give his family the strength and courage to go through this very, very dark and difficult moment. So first of all, tell me how you came here, Doctor. Which route did you take? You drove through...
I drove through...
Bugolobi.
First of all, Spear.
Mm-hmm.
I need to carefully mention the roads I took because of the state of those roads.
Mm-hmm.
From Ntinda through Spear, where URA offices are.
Mm-hmm.
Then to Bugolobi, that's Nakawa Bugolobi Road that is being resurfaced. Then via Shaka Zulu to Shell Bugolobi, that junction.
It starts there.
And then into industrial area with these very interesting roads to here.
So when you transition from Ntinda stretcher, how smooth and nicely paved the roads are. And then you cross.
You're beginning from too close. When I transition from my road, I stay along the Chira Kasangati road.
How is it that it's been
resurfaced?
Okay, is it dusty there?
We were known for the most dusty road, I think, in town.
And now you are...
So many memes of that.
And now that is a thing of the past.
Thank God. Our section.
You guys are doing so well.
Oh, yes.
Our story is totally different. Ours is the complete opposite. Yeah. So you can see now the changes, complete. These are two polar opposites. Yeah. Very good roads on one side. And this side, the road works are going on, but people are saying, look, isn't it taking... How long are we going to go through this? How long will it take? And so on and so on.
And most interesting, it is in the industrial area.
Mm-hmm.
Industrial area. You guys pay taxes.
We do. Big taxes.
We have the roads. You guys are paying the taxes. We thank you very much.
So we've paid taxes for you guys to have good roads. And it's actually incredible when you go through 5th Street on a rainy day. It is just amazing, shocking, annoying. You will go through a range of emotions in just a matter of seconds.
Maybe you want to say when you swim through 5th Street on a rainy day.
It is quite annoying.
Hold the fire.
So today, we want to talk about, of course, personalities and services and management, of course, in urban authorities. We have a number of questions that we want to actually take a critical look into. So if you notice, a lot of people have actually held positions or public offices in local urban authorities. But many times, like we've just been talking about the state of the road, citizens complain of poor service delivery. And it begs the question, how are affairs managed in our country, in our urban authorities? Could there be deep-seated issues that go beyond the office holder that should be thoroughly scrutinized? Of course, the latest mouse in the experimental lab is KCCA, whose wars have continued, with one head of the authority leaving after another. A lot of issues have been raised regarding KCCA, the deplorable state of roads, misuse of funds, accusations of irregular recruitment of staff, and of course the biggest nightmare lately is how to effectively deal with waste management. The result of which, of course, has led to the downfall of 3 top leaders, including the Executive Director Dorothy Kisaka, her Deputy Engineer David Louis Mbazi, who should have actually joined us on this panel this morning, but he sent us a last-minute apology that he wouldn't be able to make it due to unavoidable circumstances, of course. And also we saw the Director of Public Health was one of those 3 people who are leaving. So, Doctor, you handle management. First, tell me exactly your line of work, briefly. What are the areas of interest or your areas of expertise?
Thank you, Judith. I am the Dean of the Faculty of Economics, Energy and Management Science, so purely in the academia. Therefore, my interests would lie purely in energy issues, economics issues, but also I am a trade economist. That was my focus at my PhD. But I'm also Ugandan.
Yes.
Who lives in Uganda. And therefore issues that affect the public do interest me, because they do at the end of the day will affect my students, will affect whether they can come to school, will affect whether they will be studying. We do not have any dormitory services at MOBS. Therefore, all our students come from outside. So if the roads are impassable, they will not come, or they will not come on time, or they will have accidents. Or
even the lecturers have to travel, use those bad roads to get to the university.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, they also are a concern to me.
Okay. So when you're talking about management science, what exactly do you look at in that area?
The Department of Applied Statistics and Management Science combines statistical issues, issues of operations, research, where now you would get into those nitty-gritties like allocation of resources for roads, how do you manage the roads, and things like that.
Okay.
It breaks down into operations itself.
So you say you're the right person to have here. You're one of the right people we need to have. Let me also take this opportunity to welcome my other guest, Dr. Paul Chalimpa. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, listeners.
Did our bad roads hold you back a little bit?
A little bit of traffic from that side of Chase, the junctions, and the lights were off, so we could there was no police.
Management science.
And guide us. So some people are impatient, so we blocked each other. Until then, I went out. I requested this side from Chase coming to Kampala to first wait. The other people unblock, then we can all move. Otherwise, we would all have stayed there.
So, well, just so you know, Dr. Chalimpa is a former Deputy Executive Director at Uganda Investment Authority. Currently, he is the CEO of Esteem International Consultants. Doctor, what are you doing with Esteem? What kind of things are you guys working on?
We do public sector consulting. We do business consulting, and also development consulting for NGOs.
Okay, so public sector consulting would look into issues like policy management,
research, and innovations in the service delivery.
Okay, and you basically give advice to entities that seek out your services.
Sure.
All right, very interesting. So I am going to learn a lot from what you're doing right now, and also what you were doing previously, your experience at the Uganda Investment Authority. So, like we were talking about, of course, the issues of management of our urban authorities. So, ideally, let me start with you. How should our affairs in the public sector be managed? Because, like we were talking before we started the show with my producer, Stephen, and you, we go to school to actually learn best practices that we can transfer, we can apply in our different professions, but sometimes we see that not happening. How do we actually link, let's say, the theory or the knowledge we get in classrooms and apply it in our professions? But in this case, we're looking at urban management.
Thank you very much. Applying theory to practice. Of course, one of the things the academia has been accused of is being very delinked with practice. However, what is being applied in the field was learnt at school. You get it? So, of course, we're going to teach the basics, principles of management. We're going to teach the engineers. You're going to teach them ethical methods. However, when they get to the field, there will be different factors at play that now you have to combine the knowledge you gained at school with wisdom, with flexibility, and how do you be fluid and adjust to situations for you to get best solutions. Like I said, one of the departments is management science. When you asked me about where we use data, we use scientific methods, we use statistics and research in order to come up with solutions. Now, statistics will give you the numbers. Research will give you some conclusions and recommendations. But then sit down with other guys from other areas, like the health practitioners, because the field has different, in a particular office, you will have people from different fields sit down together, put together the statistics and the numbers and what we taught you at school with what is practical. What are the funders telling you that they have? So what is the finance department telling you? What is the health person telling you? Is it, I will allude to it, is it critical? How critical is it? Should we act on it now? So link both of these. You have the numbers, they have spoken, but then put your knowledge together with wisdom, put it together with empathy, put it together with the situation at hand, what can be done, what can't be done. So when you put all those together, then you will have a solution. So don't just say, we were not taught that at university. No, what we gave you, look at the situation at hand. Can you apply it in that way? Can you tweak it? Because you are on the ground. We aren't there. So tweak it in real time and quickly, to be able to get a solution immediately. So that your education can be turned into something useful, which is what is being done with the new O-level curriculum. I love that curriculum, where it is learner-based, learner-centered, and it always looks at society. How is chemistry helpful for society? How is history helpful for society? So use that. Link the two. Think on your feet, what you were taught, and then see how you can apply it, and therefore be able to run an authority like the KCCA or any other body where you are.
Interesting. Dr. Chalimpa, you were a leader in an authority, the Uganda Investment Authority in particular, and now you're leading your team at Esteem International Consultants. What lessons can we actually learn from you or from other leaders that you think have done a good job in managing big entities, especially urban authorities?
Thank you, Judith, and also thanks, Dr. Atkunda. First and foremost, from the experience of working in about 4 government entities and 2 private sector institutions, I found out that the leader, the top leader, who's the chief executive or the head of the organization, has a lot of influence. And everybody in the institution will try to align themselves with the aspirations, with the targets, including the character of the head of the institution. Now, you set the pace. Now, in public service, there are public service standard procedures, the guidelines which you follow. But that does not stop you from being creative and innovative, to apply all the other management best practices. Now, maybe I can talk about 3 or 4 dynamics. The first one is that we have leaders who believe in enabling others to be creative and be able to bring creativity, innovation, and be able to implement plans or introduce new activities or interventions which previously have not been implemented in the organization. So such leaders, even if themselves they are not very strong, the institution will find it thriving because they are enabling other leaders to perform, to be creative, and as long as they are within the government strategic and operational frameworks. The second category is where the leader himself has identified the gaps and wants those gaps to be addressed. And therefore the leader provides guidance on what are the priorities. And you may have some of the challenges you think need to be addressed, but the leader drives the social allocation, mobilization, and implementation. The other experience is where you have the leader who's open-minded in terms of has their own drive, what they want, the targets, what needs to be done as priorities, but also allows other members within the organization to bring you on board their priorities, what they think are the priorities. So you have a 50-50 balanced leader. However, there are also leaders who come in the organization and actually sit and look on the status quo as they found it, and they are not bringing on any
new
innovation.
ideas.
Yes, and you find so when remember human beings are opportunistic. So when they see you that you have relaxed and actually you are not driving the institution, they drive you, and it is most likely what was happening in cases here.
Oh, are we taking a break? 4 minutes. Okay. As Stephen is telling me, we have 4 minutes to take a break. But before we go into that, I also wanted us to talk a little bit about organizational culture and organizational politics, and how they affect or impact the ability of leaders to actually move forward, to get things done. I don't know, let me start with you. Every organization has its culture, every organization has its politics, but of course we also know culture is fluid, it also evolves and changes, especially if it's healthy culture. We actually see also leaders thriving in such environments. Let me start with you. What would you actually say about these two issues?
Allow me build on where he stopped. Thank you, Judith. And where my colleague has stopped. Everything, John Maxwell says that everything rises and falls on leadership. And he also has the law of the lead, that wherever the leader has grown and stopped, you will not push through. Unless that kind of leader, like he has said, is a progressive leader, allows people to grow, opens doors for you, is comfortable in their skin, that even if my deputy is growing and studying and learning, it's good for us all. If your leader is not that kind, allow me to use the term, you're cooked. You know? Because it doesn't matter what culture you have as the organization. It may have been thriving and growing and open. If the next leader who comes does not want to see you grow, it's gone. The culture just took a turn. And you will have dissenting voices, you will have complaints and all that. But if the leader has said it will not happen, it will not happen. I mean, just look at Uganda. Let's go back to where we were when Obote was leading, what was happening. And as soon as Idi Amin took over, it did not matter what the law said. Because he decided that I am the law and I am the person, and whatever you do. So, of course, that's a really extreme case. But if the leader takes a particular direction, you will have to toe the line unless the organization has a very strong body above it. I'll give the example maybe of the church, where the reverend is a reverend in a church, but the Church of Uganda or the Catholic Church is the one that appoints or removes. So if you have that kind of authority, then you might have a breathing space. But it also matters where the guys beyond that person are looking. So if the guys beyond that person are also narrow-minded, then still you're cooked. So either way, it will fall back to leadership, like he has said. That or if you have a very strong organization that has the ability to veto out the leader, then you will be fine. But otherwise,
those are very few, actually.
They're very few. So where the leader is going matters. I am not blaming Madame by saying this, but everything will rise and it will fall on the leadership. At least you would want to hear that they tried, but they failed. They spoke up, but they were not helped. But if you don't hear any of that, then John Maxwell is right. The organization will be stifled or it will grow, depending on what the leadership sees and where they choose to go or how far they choose to allow the people under them to go.
Interesting. Let me hear from you still about that organizational culture, politics, and basically the role of the leader in pushing the organization forward.
Let's appreciate that also the organizational culture we are talking about the common practices on how the institution is run. For example, if an employee wants to introduce a new innovation on a project, there should be set procedures that are known. Two, when in culture we talk about, for example, basic practices like timekeeping. What is your value in terms of timekeeping? Then in terms of reporting, do you have values in reporting? When it comes to communication, people should know how to communicate and they communicate in the institution. We have an open system, we have a limited system, we have a closed system. Then when you're talking about organizational politics, you are talking about how power relations, you're talking about power relations. And you are talking about harmonizing interests from different stakeholders, whether conflicting, whether those in congruence in agreement. But as we talk about this, the leader or the team, the leader can be an individual, set out to be an individual, drive the institution, or you can start to work as a team and drive the institution as a team, or you drive the institution as a whole with the key partners outside. So it means you have either a closed institution, a closed individual, a closed team, and this affects how you get feedback. For example, if we are talking about cities, municipalities, and all these urban authorities, do they have open system where individuals come and give their views? That affects that's part of the culture. In terms of do all the employees have performance targets, and do they report on them? That you create that culture. But if you appoint a leader who drives the institution according to his or her interests, that leader can destroy or disrupt the culture or the way you do your work. But as a leader, it is important that as you go into the new institution, you study or learn about the practice of the culture and the politics, and then you try to adapt those that are positive, those that are not progressive. You replace them, improve them, you drop them, and then you bring on your new practices or culture. On how the institution, or how you think the institution can do better. But it's better always to have an open communication to engage so that you can have continuous improvement.
Thank you very much. Let's take a break, Stephen, and then we'll return and continue with this discussion. This is VPN. Stay with us. Welcome back. From the break, you're still listening to VPN here on 933 KFM, and with me, I have Dr. Paul Chalimpa, CEO, Esteem International Consults. Also, he's a former Deputy Executive Director at the Uganda Investment Authority. And I also have Dr. Ronet Atukunda, who is the Dean at the Faculty of Economics, Energy and Management Science at Makerere University Business School. Our other guest, Engineer Luimbazi David Sally, who until a few days ago was the Deputy ED at KCCA, is not joining us. He gave us a call shortly that he wouldn't be able to be here. Now, we've just been setting the pace for this discussion. The reason we had invited him was to understand a lot more of the happenings inside KCCA and why we keep having challenges persisting in the city, whether it's poor service delivery, poor roads, state of healthcare, and so on and so on. Unfortunately, we will not be having that perspective, but still we are going to drive the conversation to, if we're talking about urban authorities, we also want to focus a lot on KCCA. So we, of course, we've been comparing the different KCCA under two different leaders, Jennifer Musisi, and now we have Dorothy Kisaka. The verdict out there as well, Musisi delivered. We could see her work, despite the other complaints or challenges or concerns that citizens raised at that time. You have this lady, Dorothy Kisaka, at the helm of the authority, but the verdict out there is, well, we don't see how much she actually contributed to bettering the city. Now, I want to read a letter. When Jennifer Musisi was actually leaving office, when she was resigning in October 2018, just a little bit, she submitted a 21-page resignation notice to the president. And in it, she indicated that she would step down, of course, on December 15, 2018. She highlighted a number of challenges in the management of Kampala. Key among them is the unceasing bickering between the political and the technical wing of KCCA. And in quotes, she said, one of the challenges has been to reconcile the competing interests between political perspectives/decisions and the strategic plans of the KCCA technical team. Consequently, it has increasingly become difficult to achieve set targets. That's what she said. And she also pointed out the inadequate political support to the efforts of the KCCA technical team to transform Kampala, a result of which many planned city improvement plans have not received political support. She acknowledged that KCCA is unable to fully meet the government and public expectations in city development programs and service delivery demands due to inadequate funding. That was in 2018. Now, are we still having the same challenges? Is the issue with KCCA, you think, a problem of lack of funding, or is it the politics around KCCA, who reports to who gets commands from where? Is it, like we've heard many times, the lack of meritocracy sometimes in the allocation of certain positions within the authority? Is it indeed lack of funds when we know that there are funding pools? For example, when it comes to road projects here, we know that the African Development Bank released funding. It's actually funding these projects to a tune of more than $200 million. I think all the documents, when you go to the KCCA website, you'd actually find those documents and a breakdown of how many kilometers in which division will actually be worked on. I just want us to try to make sense of some of the intricacies actually surrounding this particular authority. It's really, really unfortunate that we don't have Engineer Limbazi here to actually shed more light, because now we have a new team that has that is holding office in the interim. Frank Rusanyakana, the former director for legal, is now the acting ED. Robert Nowere, the Director for Revenue Collection, is now acting Deputy ED. Dr. Sarah Zalwango is now acting Director for Public Health and Environment. In the next 3 or more months, well, we should be having substantive executives, or perhaps if they perform satisfactorily, they could continue holding these positions. Let's talk about, I know I've just talked about so many things, but let me hear your thoughts. I'll start with you, Dr. Chalimpa.
One, you have to appreciate sometimes that I've heard the letter you have read for the former KCCA ED. When you are writing formally to the head of state or to government, there could be many things which impede or limit your performance, which you don't write down.
Well, this was a 21-page document, but we've just
I'm just telling you. So, what is presented maybe what's called the formal limitations. There could be more informal limitations which can
you can't talk about.
So as we discussed, bear that in mind. Two, with public servants, especially in public service, some people who come to leadership positions are more worrying about how their contracts can be renewed vis-a-vis providing a service, even if you've given one Chisanja on term. It should be judged on record on what you delivered, not on how many Sanjas or terms you have served. Then the other part which I want us to appreciate and the public is that Kampala is for the whole of Uganda. And when it comes to planning, for example, if you are looking at different dimensions of the city must be secure. So when it comes to security, we must work with the means of defense or the security arms. And you say, what is their budget to play their role in securing Kampala city? Even if I'm not given, I don't have to be given the money. But because Kampala is the capital of Uganda, when you are the leader there, you must ensure that you work with the defense arms of government to provide the security. And for you can have only coordination desk for security because it must be secure, so that people can do business or to move around, and the government can move on well. Two, it should be a source of revenue. It should be a cash cow for Uganda. So when you are talking about the city, we are talking about revenue generation. When you come in and you're a leader, you should tell us how are you going to generate revenue for the government to deliver services. Because you cannot tell us that you don't have the money if you're not generating the revenue. Because in terms of, in Africa especially, 98% of the opportunities for business prosperity are in the capital city. But if you are not able to generate revenue, and those opportunities to translate into revenue for government, so that you can get the relevant services you need. Then when you are talking about Kampala as a city for everybody, we are talking about that you do not necessarily have to have all the budget as KCCA on your account, on your vote. You need to work with everyone. For works, means of works, work with UNURA. They don't come and work on the roads. I don't need to have the money myself directly. Okay?
You can tap into the resources that other agencies have.
Oh, the Parliament of Uganda, even the parliamentarians are within the Kampala Metropolitan. So when I'm talking about the bad roads and I need the budget, they're the ones. The Parliament will play a role in ensuring that we have the right services. So first of all, the people or the leaders and the Uganda, including those of KCA, look at Kampala, capital city, as a city for Uganda. Not as for you are just providing coordination for all the services that are needed. Then lastly, there's a conflict always for people when they go in office, try to be liked or loved. I've told the people, as a leader, you don't have to be liked or loved, but you must deliver. You must serve. Now, once you compromise in terms of being liked, being loved, once you think if care about renewal of your contract, once you think about controlling Kampala yourself, you are bound to fail. These are some of the challenges which I've seen that most of the leaders are faced with. Intrinsically, they don't show that is the effect that you see of these challenges that these people are facing. Yes.
Let me hear from you, Dr. Atu. But have you talked about the informal limitations that you actually mentioned? Because I'd like to know what some of those informal limitations could be that would actually hinder someone from progressing, from doing their work, vis-a-vis the formal ones that someone will write on and present to the president or whoever they are accountable to. But after,
but can you call them the mafia?
Yes, Dr. For example, when you get appointed, the first thing is who appoints you, because that defines your power center. Now, if a group of people go and lobby the president or anybody the power be, and then you are appointed, it means you subscribe to those people.
You are now
And
accountable,
you're accountable to them.
and not the citizens of the country whose taxes pay your salary.
Yes, and then the same people, if, for example, these people they will say, I've seen in local government, for example, those who vote the chairman or finance the voting of the chairman, LC5, they ask for contracts. They say this one for schools is mine, this one for roads is mine, this one for hospitals is mine. You could be asking yourselves, currently, if you have the garbage issue, why, despite doing studies and providing the fight, African development, UNDP, providing the initial capital to an investor who would want to add value to the collect the garbage, generate biogas, collect electricity and fertilizers. Why wasn't such projects implemented? If you can ask yourself, for example, you indicated in some people have heard some people saying that the money of African Development Bank was approved and the roads were supposed to start. The question is, do you think the ED or the management was so naive that they didn't want the roads to be done? This could be some power centers there affecting you. So this is one of the key drivers in Uganda, especially for top leaders. The top leaders, remember, are both technical and political.
Yes.
So as a top leader, you must balance your
the political and the technical
interests. And once you are appointed, what are you supposed to do? You are supposed to communicate to the group that supported you to be appointed. That's not your problem. But tell them, thank you very much, but here I have to deliver A, B, C, D. And if, for example, you have a tender for collecting garbage or working on the roads or drainage system for Kampala, I would say, want efficiency. What I'm requesting is that we return again and we have targets. And these are the conditions for delivering, performing, if you have to be a competitive service provider. But if you find the status quo, those people, they manage you, they control you, and you have to assert and show that actually you're in charge. If you don't do that and you become independent, but independent for results, for service delivery, and they remain driving you, you will not have the city or the institution you are leading moving forward.
In line with that, Dr. Chalimpa, I want to think that is what Madame Jennifer did. Well, we're not glorifying one against the other, but she seems to have been told again and again, don't touch my people, don't do this. But she wanted the city
to
clean.
Get the work done, yes.
So she sent people and they removed, remember these buildings that had metallic staircases that were into the pavement and were all removed.
Which were risky, very, very risky, yes.
But remember the circus for somebody wanted to construct a showroom for vehicles around the roundabout there. And she sent her team to make sure that is what? Demolished. And everybody was saying, how can you do that?
I remember people really fought this lady. People fought her. But I still think she worked really, really well. She did the very best she could under the circumstances.
What Dr. Chalimpa is saying, when you're balancing the powers that be that gave you a job against service delivery, I think she decided there's where she wanted to go, and she was going to go there.
Yeah.
And in doing that, she burnt her fingers in some point, and at the end she's like, you know what, I think I've done what I can, let me leave.
Yeah.
But she left when she'd done a bit of what she decided I wanted to do. I want hawkers off the streets. I want those stairs off the streets. You won't have that showroom built. She
protect wetlands.
Seducer must leave the house that belongs to KCC. As in, she really she put herself outside there at the very risk of the job. And if you're not if you don't decide that I will sacrifice whether it is that the job is going to go, but this is going to get done, you will not work. Because the powers that be will control you so much that you will not work. So for her, she decided, come and buy, we are getting stuff done. And at the end of the day, she left, but with her head held high. So it is that balance. Are you willing to go that far? You need to have a level of madness in you, you know, to be able
and a
to
very
serve.
Thick skin.
A very thick skin. Yeah.
But I've told most of the leaders during orientations, because I do orientation of some chief executives, board members, and other people. that you cannot eat your cake and have it.
True.
In Kampala, you cannot say we want or organize the clean city, and you don't set, for example, border stages, and you allow anybody to park anywhere.
Yeah.
You cannot say that we are setting up markets and they must work, but you allow anybody to sell anywhere.
Exactly.
You get it.
Yeah.
You cannot say that we want green city, and you allow people
to crisscross
and walk on the same green.
Yeah.
You get it.
Yeah.
So now,
but it's not you who allows people to walk.
No, I'm just what
where
I'm saying.
These small chains that had been there, for example, at Watoto. That beautification that was done at, was it Chogam or something like that?
No, it was after Chogam.
That cost us so much money. The beautification of the city, the waterfall, there were stones in front of the Equatorial. Where are all those tiny chains that kept people out? Okay, let someone at least jump the chain.
They've disappeared, but at least the chains were there to actually.
Let someone jump it, and and
then they've actually gone. 3 minutes to go, Steven.
Yes, for example, in the village I had my Muko who came to Kampala and crossed in the green, and he was charged in the KCCA court and given a warning, but he was not remanded. But when he went back to the village, the whole district area knew that when you go to Kampala, you don't walk on the green.
Yes.
Now, the point I'm giving you, they had no chains. But that is warning communication. So now Musisi did not have to come to be there.
No.
They had to put in place a system.
The policies and the ensuring they're being implemented to the end user.
So why don't we just continue with that?
Now the question is, if you look at the other areas around, for example, Equatorial, there was a resting area where people could sit.
Yes.
Do you know all those have been vandalized and nothing?
Also the non-motorized side of downtown, all those were actually her ideas, which was also a way of ensuring that we lower emissions in the city and have more healthier lifestyle. So at least you walk a little bit for some stretch around the city.
You know, the Boda was that place. It now became a Boda road.
That's the problem. That's now the problem, and it defeats the whole purpose for why we have a non-motorized zone in the heart of the city.
Or put it this way: why did you kill the road? Then you should have left the road there, you know. But you have removed the road. We have to take different routes where we're going. We had accepted that. It was easy to park somewhere. You knew I would walk along.
And it was healthy for the health benefits of it, and having like a green city. I think we were moving towards greening the city, not just having the city literally or physically green with grass and plants, but also in terms of emissions and so on, we were actually heading there.
I think what we are saying, the balance there which was needed is communication, because some people did not understand why she was doing that.
Yes.
You see, communication is the power that tries now to give hope to concile the interests or purpose of whatever you are trying to do. Now, for example, if you are saying we don't want Buddha stages in the city,
but what's the alternative?
That is not the right communication. What you should be saying is that we want pedestrians and people who are not using vehicles to stop, for example, in Chireka, to stop in Ntenda, but the border borders, therefore, will be deployed on those areas to move these people from these points to these points. So the border stages will be there, will stop there, because all the other people who are entering the city will be
using maybe taxis.
Yes, taxis or other means of transport. You got what I'm saying? This is how you communicate, that's how you organize it.
But also, I think perhaps her time was just cut short. I still believe if we had Musisi up to now, a lot of these things could have actually...
I want to agree with you.
Could have actually... Even the mindset of the people would have changed. We would, because when I actually see the non-motorized thing, like, I am so happy every time I'm that side of town, because I'm like, it gives me the time to actually walk around. I'm burning some calories. I'm exercising. I'm going to sweat and get home when I feel much better. So
Judith, I want to agree with you. Either you would have had Musisi go on for long, or when Madame Chisaka came, continue with the while same she had pressure.
Started. Yes.
Do not reduce the pressure. With time, and the mindset start to change.
The question where I'm a scholar is how how build leaders with sustainable impact.
Exactly.
And this is the challenge which
how
now
to
we are
build
facing.
leaders with sustainable
Impact.
futuristic leaders.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Let's pick it up from there when we return from the break. It is VPN. Do stay with us as we return from the break. Well, it is 2 minutes past 10 o'clock, and you're still tuned to VPN here on 933 KFM. My name is Judith Atim, and we're discussing personalities, services, and management in urban authorities. We're asking why the challenges persist. Joining me in this conversation is Dr. Paul Chalimpa, CEO, Esteem International Consultants. He's also the former Deputy Executive Director, Uganda Investment Authority. I'm also very pleased to have Dr. Ronette Atukunda, who is Dean at the Faculty of Economics, Energy and Management Science, Makerere University Business School. Before we went into the break, Dr. Chalimpa, you actually brought the question of how do we build leaders who are futuristic, leaders who have vision, who think sustainability, right? Was that the question?
Sure. And one of the some people don't want to hear about research studies. I did my research studies by talking to leaders of development organizations and institutions, and I would be asking them about their previous leaders, the last two previous leaders, the current leaders, and talking to the staff who have experienced those leaders and what was unique. But by and large, the research showed that there are limited interventions by governments and institutions to nurture leaders who can have impact. But also, when leaders get into organizations, they do less to train leaders who can take on their work. Because in the public service, by and large, since we are talking about KCC, talking about public service, in the public service, when you are being evaluated, one of the parameters is have you nurtured someone or a team that can actually take on your work without having to look for people outside. This is one of the key measurements of really a successful leader. Now, in most African countries, when leaders get in power, they think about how they should be seen as the only achievers, and how they can block other competent people from coming close to their positions. Because if you are very competent in most African institutions, you are seen as a threat. And somebody will try to trample on you to make sure you don't grow. And does not create opportunities for you to appear, for example, in public, to make a presentation, to do it, because you may be more competent than them.
So at the end of the day, it boils down to individualism versus the need to actually serve the wider public or the community.
Yes. Now, if you are interested in continuing services and if you have come to serve the broader community and build impact, other than serve self-interest, okay, as an individual, you will nurture leadership. One of the persons whom I've known, I've talked about the person whom you have met in some of the meetings, like Presidential Economic Forum, is Dr. Muvawala of NPA. He allows even a manager, not even a director, to make a presentation. So that, and he praises them. See, even if I'm not there, the institution is capable like this. And you see this person very competent doing that. And the leader is happy and is exposing this person at a manager level, even not a director, even deputy ED. So these are the leaders we are talking about. Now, the other aspect is that when you have a plan, do you have what is called inclusive planning? Do you plan with others? If you want a sustainable city, as I've said, if it is infrastructure development, why do you do it alone as an individual, tell people what to do? Why don't you consult, even sell your good ideas to your team, to other MDAs and the other ministries, departments, agencies that contribute to companies who are saying you are not performing? Can you work with them to make sure that together you can put together ideas on how to build a better and competitive city?
But in line with that,
yes,
on building a team, Dr. Chalimpa talked about building a team with other departments and agencies.
Yes.
But there is also selling your soul to your team. that for example, Madame Jennifer was all out to see the city develop. What about the people who are behind her? So if you're the only one who is sold out and the guys behind you are saving their jobs, like he's saying, you're going nowhere. Because as soon as you step out, they go back into job saving mode. Because they didn't buy it, either they did not get it, they didn't understand it. So your own immediate team, plus what she's saying, the other MDAs must kind of see that idea and buy into it, you know, so that sustainability is ensured.
And what she's saying, to put it short, is that are these people working for you or working for the service delivery agenda? So if a leader who talks about sustainable impact, okay, or sustainability, focus on sustainability for impact, you will be able to say the service agenda, not you as an individual, as a personality or personal benefit. So that's why I'm saying, can we include these people to be part of it? If you have an agenda to say, can you convince people this is the right agenda? So that even if we are not there, people should talk about KCCA. Now, the other challenge which we found that was negatively impacting sustainability of interventions or good work to continue was that people were cherishing the individual. Now, Kampala, for example, when you said that it was called Musisi, that is risky. You should demystify the individual, the leader from the institution. The institution should be bigger and more visible in terms of impact that it's doing than the individual. Now, if people think actually they are working for Musisi, not working for our Kampala city as a city, that's risky. When you leave, okay, even in my side I found out when certain leaders left the institutions, okay, they went together with their values and achievements. And now when people went back to their own
it comes back to also what you said again, the building teams with others. And what Jennifer said, the lack of the political will, the intrigue and all that. Because if people are going to work for Musisi, if they see she's the only one who is protecting them, fighting for them, defending them, when all the other guys are pointing accusing fingers at them. So all the other guys need to buy into all these things and protect. So that I know that even when Musisi is not there, her deputy will be with me. You know, if the deputy is not there, even the mayor is with us.
Work will continue regardless of who the individual. Like, you don't personalize power, but you basically have a system that is smooth and operational.
And the other
brings in the politics. Sorry, just a short point. That if you just have like the opposition fighting everything, you know, like Musisi tried to get the vendors off the streets. So if you don't have the mayor of Kampala trying to find the solution, okay, they have gone off the streets. Where else can we put them? They have been given Sunday. Can we add Monday evening or Thursday evening or something like that? They just join the fight. You're taking our people off. But aren't you seeing what she's doing? Now, do you like what is happening now that they're back? Are you happy?
That reminds me of what I was actually telling you off air. I think when Musisi was there, she actually had also a lot of complaints with the divisional mayors. I mean, these are elected people. And she always praised Dr. Ian Clark. At that time, Ian Clark was still a mayor of this area, I think Machindi or something. And she said she did not have a problem working with the mayors. Her problem was the politics and the lack of accountability. Every time money would be released and she would ask for accountability, it wouldn't be clear. So it would be hard. I mean, anyone who handles money, you don't release money until what you've released has been thoroughly accounted for. And she always said the reason she had a very easy working relationship with Dr. Ian Clark was he always presented his accountabilities, gave his work plans ahead of time and said, look, this quarter I'm working on A, B, C, D. This is how much I need to implement my activities. And she would approve the money. And before he comes to requisition for the next money for the next quarter, he has all the achievements. This is how I've performed in this area. These are the accountabilities. Everything was clear. So
I think that takes me to the gap that she had in terms of, you see, one of the challenges of charismatic leaders is that one of the challenges is that they think they are the solutions, and what they think is what actually works, and it works only for the time when they are there. But now, if you have a leader who thinks about sustainable impact of what they have done, they build the capacity. For example, if you know these people, the division mayors and the institution where they are the divisions have capacity gaps in terms of accountability. Okay, how do you build the capacity?
Or drawing activity, drawing plans.
How instead of shaming us in the public, to say the other one
does his
role, why don't you work with him to come and support us and build the accountability systems, and we are able to deliver even when we are not there. Now, by moving money away, controlling it at KCCA, and yet the right process is that, the right procedure is that the money should be delivered there for those people to work, deliver service. It means when you are not there as MCC, and when they take back the money to those people, still you will not have services. You are exacerbating the problem. You are just extending or postponing the problem. But a leader who builds impact, sustainable impact, builds capacity for others. For example, if I know that you need certain training to improve your competence skills, if you need exposure, if you need team building, if you need all these other skills and orientation on how on how we can work together as teams deliver, you will do that so that you build capacity of others. When we are talking about, people talk about that they don't need the politics. I don't know how people define the politics. Because politics,
even in the family level, we have
politics is everywhere.
It is,
the point is, we need to be specific when we are talking about this. When we are talking about political leaders, we are talking about people's representatives in terms of presenting problems or challenges. So, we as a technical leader, as also other political leaders, you need to listen to them, but help them to appreciate the priorities you have and how their challenges are going to be addressed, maybe in a phased way. You agree, for example, in the Chibale district, the district councillors sit with the chairman and executive, and they say, this quarter we are going to work on this well, Saro well, or Boahol. The next quarter it will be you. The other one will be you. And when the councillors go back, district councillors, to their areas, they tell the people that we prioritize that this quarter you are going to work on this and this. When your turn comes, actually your road is worked on, or your shadow well is worked on. So this is, I'm talking about the power of communication and engagement. But if you despair the councillors and other people, as people have not learned, have not gone to school, and you think they don't understand, but they are appointed, they are elected, and they represent people's interests. So it is better to explain to them, prioritize, and move step by step to build the impact, other than thinking that actually they cannot work with them, and you need other bright people to work with. If I use the example of Dr. Ian, he just sacrificed to become a mayor.
Because he wanted to serve.
Such competent leaders always dissociate themselves from the confusion in the politics. But that's courage. That's why I encourage people, such as Dr. Mayor and others, even including Dr. Rosa and others, to offer, to lead, and provide better services. Otherwise, most of the people, because of how we have demonized, blackmailed the politics, competent leaders who educated people don't want to associate them.
But also now with the heavy commercialization, do you have 3 billion, for example, Dr. Rosette, if you're going to stand for MP in 2020? You have 1 billion, 500, 800 million to
maybe for Kampala. For Kampala, that is not actually correct mostly, because Kampala people have been in Kampala, and I know people mobilizing and how people can do voting. People love your ideas. Now, the other discussion will come, why maybe does the NRM lose? You get what I'm trying to say? Now, if you have leaders who are objective and are saying this is a gap, instead of saying, there's no problem, there's no pothole, but when people are saying the pothole, the opposition will say there's a pothole and they will be voted.
I want to read to you guys some comments that have actually been shared to me by Stephen. KCC is running a city that has casual laborers who are not only paid peanuts, but also not paid on time. A city that has Crater Lake-like potholes with uncovered manholes almost on every street. Just in May 2020, Ewan Sisinamukasa drowned in an open manhole in Nakawa during a heavy downpour. KCC is managing a city which comes up with very beautiful concepts, like codenaming it a smart city plan to see the beautification of areas with orders, pedestrian walkways, driving lanes, non-motorized lanes, but right now nothing is left. You have streets which are unsafe for pedestrians, drivers and riders, even in broad daylight. Gangsters roam in whichever corner, hitting whoever they set out to loot, and they go on unbothered because they know they're not going to be arrested or reprimanded. This speaks to the breakdown of law and order in the city. When you talk about markets, for example, how much revenue is collected from these markets? How do you pretend to stop street vending while some people just go on plying their trade on the streets without being touched? And they know no one is going to touch them anyway. When you look at the chaos in the transport sector, many people have actually just given up when it comes to driving to town. Not because they don't want to, but partly due to the lawlessness ranging from some border riders and gazetted parking lots where anyone feels, well, they can come in, charge whichever fee. Some taxi touts will abandon the parks and opt for streets and cause disorder and cause traffic jam. The politics, of course, again from Jennifer's letter, a lot speaks about the politics and how it is played. The unending squabbles between the technical and political wing did not just start now. Neither did they start during Musisi's time. They've always been a hallmark of affairs of KCCA, even when it was still KCC. So also now with the Kampala administration takeover by the government, when you look at the KCCA Act, where now the Minister for Kampala and the Metropolitan Affairs are under the office of the President, this brings in another layer of bureaucracy, another layer of also control and political interference. So someone is saying, can you move away from the heaps of praise on Musisi? You make the rest of us feel like we need to go back to our school of leadership and management. So that's coming from Stephen. So also now with the new faces at KCCA, Rusa and Nowere and Mr. Luango, what should they do or what should they desist from doing? Because they have been within KCCA, so they understand the culture, they understand the politics, they know the teams, they know the dynamics, political, technical, and so on. So what should they steer clear of?
Can I go?
Yes.
Thank you. The first thing you said was beautiful plans being presented, but nothing is being done. I want to go back. Sustainability, continuity. You wish what had been begun, or we are not going back to praise Jennifer, but continue. A lot of the hard work had been done. I wish that had been continued with. So those are lessons to learn. Rusa and his team, I wish whatever good, because I want to believe there's some good that Madame Tsaka has done. Don't try and take a tangent. Continue with whatever good she was doing, and then where something was going wrong, start building from there. When we come to security, I have 3 colleagues, or I've had 3 stories over almost a decade, where somebody loses something in Kampala, in a particular place, calls anybody they know, someone of influence that they know in the police, and then an officer in a particular area will call, and the thieves will bring back the item. It has happened thrice. 2 laptops, I think, and a phone. So the question is, as we are grappling with security in this country, if an officer can actually contact a gang member or somebody and something that has been stolen is brought back, then why aren't they being dealt with?
Thank you.
So
they'll even tell you, oh, it must be so and so's gang who did that.
Yes.
Where was it? Where were you? It's okay. So and so. Yes.
Give me half an hour. So if you know them, why are they still there? You know, why was the border 2020 let to go on for that long? Or 2000 was it? Sorry, when
Kaihura was still the IGP. Yes.
So those are security issues we're having. People who are kicking people on the street. Dr. Chalimba mentioned how Kampala is a city for the whole of Uganda. So if there is insecurity in Kampala, there are negative externalities on tourism, you're going to have a lot of people who are going to hold back FDI just because they're like, if they're going to kick somebody dead in broad daylight and nothing happens, then let me first hold off investing in Kampala. So you're going to have a lot of that happening. And you will not have not only the city going forward, but the country, because it's Kampala. It's not Mbarara or Fort Portal. This is Kampala, you know. So some of these things need to be handled with an iron hand that it should be. But I also wanted to throw another spanner in the works, Judith. You know, Kampala, the governance, has 2 ministers, 2 Lord Mayors, the mayor and the deputy, 5 division mayors, 5 town clerks, 10 directors, over 400 councillors, 5 RDCs, 18 assistant RDCs. Banange. You people, who is going to lead Kampala? And all of these are powerhouses in their own. The mayor is the powerhouse he was voted in. The RDC is the powerhouse he was
appointed there. Yes.
Then the KCA director was also put there. You people, too many
power centers.
There are too many cooks in Kampala. There are too many cooks in Kampala. I don't know how it's going to go ahead, but with those too many cooks pulling in different directions, where the Lord Mayor sees that because the director was appointed, then she's yellow. We cannot work with her. Whatever she's doing is bad. Then the one who was appointed must be good to the powers. You don't bite the hand that feeds you. So she must look at the Lord Mayor as blue. So he's bad, or is he green? I don't know what color he is now. He's actually red now. He's Noop. So if you have all the different power centers dressed in different colors, cannot work together, Kampala, and you don't have someone who is willing to put herself out on the cross, like to die for you guys, I don't know where Kampala is going to go.
I want us to talk a little bit about meritocracy. Let's go back a little bit. I mean, earlier, Dr. Chalimpa, when we were talking about informal limitations and how they actually affect leaders from moving forward, you, of course, mentioned the aspect of who appoints you, which is what you're also alluding to, Dr. Ronette. Who appoints you, and that's who you are accountable to. Of course, you may be competent and qualified for a position, but like you're saying, if I know that, if Ronette knows that Judith is a political appointee, then there's a way people get blinded to the fact that, oh, maybe Dr. Chalimpa or Judith, yeah, they are appointees, but is he competent? Can he do the job? How do you think we should actually remove the aspect of, say, the president actually appointing people to certain positions and let the process just be an open call to whoever is competent and qualified to actually go through and take these roles? Do you think that would, in a way, actually take away the biases, or could it cause us more problems?
I've worked with people who are appointed by the president, and currently, people are appointed by the president. The PCs are appointed by the president. Ministers are appointed by the president. The commissioners they're appointed by the president. The chancellors, vice chancellors, these are appointed by the president.
Yes.
So, and they have been doing very well. So, this issue of where people say someone has been appointed by the president,
therefore they are not good enough.
They are not good enough. Somebody is using this as a cover or an excuse. And in any case, you need to look at the positive side of being appointed by the president. The positive side is that you have all the protection
and political will.
And the political will to serve. So what does it mean? That you need to utilize it and harness it.
Exactly.
That you should knock to every office and to work with, so that you get support from there. If you need to mobilize resources, and they say you are political appointee, it means you have the blessing of the president to mobilize resources to work with those people, and you get the money. But also, if people are threatening you, it means you can even use the network, talk to the president, and you get protection or support. Now, that can never be an excuse.
What does that do to your independence as a leader? Because I'm thinking you are appointed, then basically your loyalty lies the other side, and doesn't that put you also as a leader in a difficult position sometimes to make certain decisions, because you need the president's nod of approval, and sometimes you want to take your agency or you want to implement activities in a certain direction, but he might have contrary views that could also slow you down.
But let's look at this in this way. Tell me the president who doesn't like to borrow money and the funds are utilized, they lie idle. Tell me the president who doesn't like good roads for the city. Tell me the president who doesn't like security for his people in the city, who doesn't have love lighting, a transport system, revenue, mobilization for
but also something small. Let's just hold it there. Also, there might be that 1 or 2 areas where he will tell you, wait, it can't be all. So we should be able to see something move, Maybe we'll not see movement on the vendors. Maybe we'll not see movement on the borders. But what about the roads? You know, what about the security?
Security, yes. Security,
no
of
to
course.
all areas. So definitely, as an appointee, there will be those areas where he will tell you pause. But like he's saying, he also wants to see the city
Progress.
move. So on those areas where he has said move, goodness, fly as much as you can.
Yes, this, and that's why I was heading to complement or maybe to add on what he's saying. The areas where the president can say go slow. These are the areas where I've said which are sensitive, especially to for the voters. The point is, when you're working on your plan, for example, if you want to organize the vendors, okay, how do you organize by not getting them out of business, okay, but how do you keep them in shift business from the central business area, okay, that is to the outskirts?
An alternative.
And actually it is booming even more than previously it would be. This is the master plan where I've said you plan and involve and engage. Now, if you don't engage and you come up with your own plan, somebody will not appreciate what you're trying to do. Maybe there's a gap there. Now, because the political leaders, they are the voices of the local people. That's why you need to involve them, to work with them. Otherwise, if you receive resistance, they run to the president. The councillors will run to the president. But now, if you have involved them from the beginning, you say, can you all tell me the proposals on how we can clean the city? Each one will come with the proposals. But we are saying we don't want to get people out of business. But actually want to increase or to create more employment opportunities and people to earn better. So this is what you need to look at. But you cannot say, move from here, we are working on this road, we are cleaning this area without telling people in an organized way and a planned way where to go. And if they go in that location, if it is a market, are you sure actually buyers are going to buy from there? Do you know the challenge that we are having? That while some people were moved to those markets, others were allowed to roam around with goods or say somewhere else, and which was prohibited.
So
and
the law is implemented in a haphazard way. It's not uniformly implemented.
Yeah, enforcement. We're talking about enforcement.
Yes.
Yes, was discriminative. So if you are saying all people, if it is food, we shall find all the food in certain markets. And me, when I come to buy, I cannot buy anywhere else. And you enforce that, I will definitely go to that market. But now, that's why you cannot eat your cake and have it. You can't allow people to freelance, to move around freely.
While others are confined.
This is the challenge that people are saying, even the councillors. Now, you need to address that comprehensively. And to do that, the challenges I've told you, KCCA wanted to work independent and have its own army, security and everything. You get it? But you need to work with the state. So that's why I've said Kampala is for the whole state, for the whole country. And the all MDS, departments, agencies, and units of security and service providers need to work together to make a clean, secure, smart, competitive, and Kampala that gives international competitive image. But you don't work alone as KCCA. You are just a coordination of all these services to make Kampala most loved city in Africa.
Let me give a quote. There was a deputy mayor who was on the front line recently, and she said she claimed that the city was being run on presidential directives, that even if they had a good intention, something is agreed, they receive messages from the president and they go in a different direction. And that calls for, we need to find a balance, a very, 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 it may be a thin balance between politics and service delivery. My cry still goes to, for example, the mayors in the city. It cannot always be, they are doing wrong, they are doing wrong, they are doing wrong. Because if the powers that be realize that whatever they do for you, you're going to look on the wrong side, where the glass is half full, then I see them deciding to work with whoever is willing to work with them to get plans done. I don't know if you understand me. Because if they take a vendor, the shopkeepers complain about the vendors the vendors are taken off the roads, and you just come and all you do is shout that our vendors, what are you doing? Then I really see government deciding, you know what, just leave these political guys alone. Let us do what we are doing. And increasingly, then the opposition will think they're ignoring us, they're doing what they want. But we need to find ways of agreeing. If something good is being done, it is good. Whether it's been done by yellow or done by blue or red, it's good. And we support. So I want to think that in this power struggle or there is a blood chain of command. Who has most powers, who has the ear of who. And we need to get to a point where they come together. The question is, who brings them to that table to realize that they can work together? They can actually work together. Maybe the good plan this time was with the mayor. Maybe the mayor of the city. Maybe the good plan was with Dorothy. So if the good plan was with the mayor, can't we adopt it and use it? But if we keep having this bickering and biting each other, Kampala is going to have trouble. I want to think also that in creating a system directly under the president's office, maybe that's what they were having, that the city was permanently being led by the opposition, who decided that they're going to keep going on the opposite side of the story, you know. So maybe, just maybe, that's why they put these guys there. So Kampala is going to be a tricky story until we have these guys understanding each other, that you can oppose, but at some point work together, or you can see the opposition, but at some point, if they have the good idea, buy into it.
Work for the people should actually be the overarching aim, because at the end of the day, everyone is actually working towards that. If you're a politician, the assumption is you're working for the good of your people. You want a good environment. You want a society that's progressive. We have a call. Oh, okay. We have a caller. Yes, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You are talking to Juma from the best roundabout Busega.
Aha, Juma from Busega. How are you?
I'm good. Greeting to all our panelists of today.
They are happy to hear from you.
All right.
Yes.
For me, as Juma, I'm a taxpayer's person. I want to see the value of the money I'm paying government. Then what do I mean? Service delivery is my issue. But for the procurement and the budgeting, let those technical people to know that their services are not for themselves. It is for the community. Then accountability, transparency, action taken. Jose has done good to take action. And this should go to other institutions. This is of these political offices. You are given one term, but the service delivery, you are not delivering. I feel like let the public also to be hard on. Let them write their will that our member of parliament, we push him there. We can't wait for 5 years. Yet when we are dying and our neighboring district, they are developing, what is going on wrong there? Okay. Then finally, in appointing authority, the head of state. Well, many times he's the one who appointed them, so they are going to run Kampala. And those people, it was not takes long until if it was not this issue of phase, that tragedy. Even this museum was not going to take action immediately. I love that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We shall respond to you. Okay. Doctor, I think Dr. Renette, you can proceed with your submission.
So I was just speaking to the management and the blood lines and blood chains of command and the too many cooks within Kampala.
Yeah.
I think we need to get to a point where we are humble enough to listen to who has the good plan. You know, because those power centers are dressed in different colors, and it is obviously affecting this city. It's really affecting the city with accusations and counter accusations, and one side just waiting for the other to fall. You know, everybody's just waiting. What you said you will do, will you do it? You see, I told you. So if we keep waiting for each other to fall and each other to do this, you know, it will not help us. So we need to come together. Dr. Talipa said it. Let those different power centers, even just the different leaders we mentioned, the ministers seeing eye to eye with the mayors seeing eye to eye with the many councillors who are dressed in a different color from them. There are tiny power centers in there. They really need to see eye to eye for the service delivery that this gentleman is talking about, you know. And it's like a father and a mother in a home. So these two power centers, they're not only two, but they're all strong. So if one keeps pulling down the other, you're not going to go anywhere. So even if, the vendors have gone off the streets and it has hurt the Lord Mayor, maybe don't come out to hit at the KCCA director direct. Find different ways. Like he said, where can we put them? What days can they come? Find a solution that is not going to tear this Lord Mayor down. Otherwise, if you don't have a Lord Mayor with a backbone as strong as Jennifer, a director as strong as Jennifer, they will just cow and keep quiet, and do the simple things and keep in good books and keep being liked, and nothing will go forward. But also, me from the academia, I cannot fail to slot in that issue of research. Where we have research-based planning. Where is NPA in the planning authority, in the
planning process for the city?
Yes. So the divisions have plans, or local government have plans. Are those plans speaking to the plan that NPA has? I'm sure they have plans for garbage disposal or plans for beautifying their cities. Are those plans being picked up? So that when the budgeting is being done, they're being spoken to. Because if I am going to plan year on year, and my plans don't seem to speak to your budgets, and I'm not getting the funding, then they're going to lose the morale. Remember, many of them are appointees. So if I keep speaking and shouting, I get to a point where I'm like, you know what, let me back down. So they might lose morale. You never know. But they get to a point and you're like, you know what, I have spoken enough. Let me keep quiet.
And then that's dangerous because you are losing your best brains, your experts who should actually be contributing to progress, and you lose out. Stephen is telling me that we need to go for a break, and then we'll come back and take a few calls, and we'll continue with the discussion. Welcome back from the break. This is still VP, and it's now 45 minutes, actually 15 minutes to 11. It's our time really flies. I don't know if we have some calls coming through, but if they do, I'm sure Stephen will alert me. So Dr. Ronette and Dr. Chalimpa, as we actually move, we're now on the home stretch as we wind up the show. When you were talking earlier about building capacity, say, for example, of our councillors, our mayors, in terms of the right thing to do, because people come from different backgrounds when they join politics. So I'm a journalist. If I happen to join politics tomorrow, there are certain things, budgeting, how does the process look like? What do you do? How do you submit certain documents? Do you think we are actually lacking in terms of capacity building for office holders, especially elected officials, that may actually hamper them from doing what they're supposed to do? And how can they be helped?
Definitely, that is not only it's also on the side of the technical side. I remember when I entered the public service, there's a public service college. You had to be oriented on public service procedures and how you conduct yourself, etc. Today, when you talk about the other leaders, political leaders, especially those who are not in RM, there is Chankwazi. People go to Chankwazi. That's where they do orientation. But besides Chankwazi, you may find that now the opposition leaders will boycott going to Chankwazi. So, but I'm saying here, as the technical arm of government, KCCA, can you do the orientation for our political leaders to understand how you run the business as the city leaders, as KCCA managers of the city, and what you expect of their roles? So you find this does not happen when somebody is elected. He or she thinks that their role as an opposition leader or councillor, he thinks that their job is to oppose. Now, this is where the problem starts from. But I was happy recently when another DC from Gweta Ankole was appointed to come to Kampala with these new deployments of other DCs. The first thing she did was to meet the Lord Mayor, and they agreed to work together. Now, you don't, just like a home, you don't agree on everything.
True.
But you still work together.
And the home has to move.
Yes, I told people that even if I don't like you, but if we are together here for a mission, work has to go on.
True.
Yes.
Me liking, not liking you is personal. Institutional,
you don't have to like
government service must go on.
Yeah.
So also if you look at the technical people, they control the budget. So they cannot give if, for example, they have got money like from African Development Bank or from government, and they tend a contractor to do the work. It is not the opposition stopping that.
No.
They go and then there is a procedure of informing them about the budget and telling them what is going to finance and telling them their role during the implementation. Now, do you know where the challenge comes in? Now, if you start implementing the road, if you are going, for example, actually to launch the road construction, we expected that you have the head of the technical head, the ED, but also you must have the road mayor. Now, if you have not invited the road mayor, you expect the road mayor who's going to critique or to criticize whatever you are doing about the infrastructure. But now, if you bring on board the road mayor to come at the launch,
you have gagged him.
He is part and parcel of this. And if there is any issue that comes up, allow him to formally and as internal as an institution to present the matter.
Yes.
But also, you have regular meetings for monitoring and also reviewing the performance together with the road mayor and the opposition group. So that now, if you are working with road infrastructure, have you ever seen pictures where the ED is moving with the road mayor to monitor the road infrastructure development? Now, if for you appointed as the ED of KCCA, we are not saying your job is there to promote opposition, but you are there to promote service delivery.
Absolutely.
Now, have you ever taken time to think that actually I need to reduce stress or fights and concentrate on services? And by bringing the road mayor on board to do their monitoring oversight role, which is actually theirs, I'm helping to improve service delivery and reduce opposition. Now, some leaders think in KCCA...
We have a caller. Doctor, sorry. Hello?
Yes, Atim, I'm sorry for 1 minute again.
No, it's okay.
Okay, thank you. Let the city... Okay, let those who concerned about the development of the city start also investigating the urban planners. You know, these people, they are good at the benchmarking, and at the end of the day, we don't see it in action. Urban planners, authorities, their offices is in darkness. So maybe because of lack of funding, we don't know. I don't know. We need to know that. That's why corruption is not ending, because there are some institutions, they are being paid deaf ears to hear their issues. They are not existent completely. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Juma. Actually, Doctor, I think it speaks to Dr. Ronan. You had actually talked earlier when we had started. You mentioned something about urban planning. Sorry, Dr.
If I can add something,
I'm going to get yes.
Yeah, this urban planners being in darkness and the benchmarking. Our listeners, the landslide, the garbage slides have not just happened. It is said that if we were to benchmark, in 2005, there was a garbage slide in Indonesia. 71 houses were buried and 143 people were killed. 2017, there was a garbage slide in Ethiopia that killed 116 people. That benchmarking alone and the reports that were given to the authorities at KCCA and the urban planners and the engineers, we should not have had the publicist come and say we didn't have money. You know, you can't, and it comes back to the capacity Doctor is talking about. That the capacity in there should have been able to pick on that and say, wait a minute, you can pause on road construction, but go up on GTZ. This is an emergency. So the capacity for them to reorganize quickly and realize we have a problem on our hands.
How do we prioritize the little funding that we have, put it in a critical area?
And me from the academia, it hurts me a lot. I'm like, we give you the research, we're being accused of being theoretical, we have given you the papers, and you look at it and you're like, it cannot happen. But it has happened before. And this is methane gas. It burns. People were burnt in there. Fires were lit in there. So it is urban planning. It is plans speaking to the national plans. It is capacity in there. It is disaster responsiveness. It is like you asked me at the beginning, how do we link what we learned to what we're doing? That was a very good opportunity. That there's an emergency coming up. That one money, as in money is being found now. Where is it coming from to work on that place? Where has the money come from to relocate them? If there wasn't any money to work on Chitezi, maybe we should have told the guys move. You know, when you're going to have a volcanic eruption, you can't stop the eruption.
You cannot.
You tell everybody, exit
Evacuate,
the city.
yes.
So some guys would have left.
Okay, I'm told we have 5 minutes to go, but there was also a message that came through that can we talk about corruption and abuse of office at KCCA, and also how people are recruited. We hear things people say, the recruitment is not actually, you must know someone who knows someone to actually get a job there. And all this, of course, are accusations of grand corruption and so on. I don't know what you people can actually comment on that.
As we go to that, there's something which I want to talk about.
Yes. We cut you short.
The leaders who are appointed. One is that they should get out of their mentality that the assumption that they are appointed to fight opposition leaders in Kampala. You waste a lot of time in that. You are appointed to serve. Two, on the point of corruption, abuse of office, that people they are not appointed on merit. I think and Kampala is under public recruitment for the positions under public service. But now for the ones of the within the sub-public service procedures and regulations, there's a provision for transfer of service of public servants via services from one institution to another. And the president, as an appointing authority, can try move you if currently you are serving as deputy ED or ED of investment or UNRWA, and then appoint you to be the ED of what? KCCA. So some people may take it that the president has just brought in someone. Actually, that person has been transferred according to public service procedures. If you look at for Musisi, so it's transferred, appointed from Uganda Revenue Authority to KCCA on promotion. That's appointment on what? Promotion. Now, Kisaka was head of service delivery unit under Office of the Prime Minister. So she was transferred from there on appointment to be the ED of KCCA. I wanted to make those clarifications. They're important. Now, the other positions for directors, people apply in public service, and public service has an application form you fill, their procedures, you go, you make attachments, and the in terms of requirements fulfilled, it is clear what shortlisting requirements are. But also, if you are not shortlisted, they provide, even as they display the list of those shortlisted, a notification for appeal. That if you think actually you passed, you had all the requirements, and you are not shortlisted, you can write and appeal. And when you appeal, you have an opportunity when they review your application, and they get back to you, show you that actually you don't have ABCD. That is transparent way of doing the recruitment. And I think a public service has done its best in addressing that. But also, the president, when he appoints you, he refers you to the right authority for appointing you. If it is a political appointments, parliament. Other technical appointments to public service. And if public service says you are not qualified, they cannot give it to you. Even if parliament also said you don't qualify. You remember there's somebody who was appointed, but the parliament says no, this person is not qualified. The president took that. So me, when I got my appointment from the president, I got public service, and they had to generate a report with the question and the answers there, and the report is there showing which questions they ask, technical, and the answers which I respond and what I score.
I'm told we have 1 minute to go. Let me give you that 1 minute.
On the point of corruption now, it comes back to one's character, somebody's vision, what kind of leader you are, what kind of competences you had. So like you've said, there will be Ian Clark who will decide to use the money, and there will be somebody else who will use their link to the appointing authority to abuse the office instead. Because they know they are covered, because they know they have a godfather or godmother, and instead they will abuse it. So our prayer, like Doctor said, is use your links to the appointing authority instead for good. Instead, many of them are they're looking at the time they have before I am sent out of this place.
I must have accumulated this and this.
So it comes to many things: character and of course, what is it called? The whole system of accountability. What system is in place? Look at Rwanda and look at here. We don't have to
go too far away.
Put your hands into the pocket.
What happens?
Authority is going to bite.
Yeah.
So there are a number of things that
Thank you. Stephen is showing us it is time. Thank you very much, Dr. Roneta Tukunda and Dr. Paul Chalimpa, for your insights, for making time to be with us here, discussing personalities, services, and management in urban authorities. Why do challenges persist? I'm your host, Judith Atim. Thank you very much to all of you who listened in, and to Juma, who called in. He was the only one caller we had today. We couldn't really open the lines for very many calls. Much appreciation. VPN returns next Saturday, same time. And for now, I wish you a very wonderful weekend. Also, special thanks to my producer, Stephen Mbide. News is up next. Juliet is already set, and do stay tuned for that. Bye-bye for now.